Welcome to Be Ablaze. We're lighting a fire in you to move you from ordinary to extraordinary, living out your blaze for life. I am your host, Polly Hamp. Let's be ablaze. Have you lost your mind? That is what we're going to be talking about today. I am Polly Hamp, and welcome to Be a Blaze podcast. And today we're going to talk about the psychology behind some of the crazy stuff we're seeing coming out on the internet today. There has been a viral video of this woman at a Phillies game. And if you haven't gone and watched it, go watch it, but I'll try to give an overarching picture of what actually happened. So this fly ball, or I'm not sure if it was a fly ball or a home run or whatever, flew out into the stands. Everybody rushes and grabs the ball, tries to get the ball because, of course, they want the ball. This guy, he gets there and he picks up the ball from the ground, and there's this woman that's behind him who is trying to get over the seats to get the ball. And she kind of swats at him, but he doesn't see it. You can tell he doesn't really know what's going on. And he's so excited he's got the ball, and he goes back to his seat and he hands it to his son. I don't know how old his son was, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And his son's, oh my gosh, this is great. And then all of a sudden, the video people are recording this, and this woman walks up, the one that swatted at the guy, and walks up to the dad and the son and rips the dad a new one, and is yelling and screaming and is, I can't believe you. And I'm guessing she's saying, I can't believe you took this ball from me, all that kind of stuff. The guy the dad is clearly flabbergasted. He is shocked that this is actually happening to him, for one. And he takes the ball from his son and hands it to this woman. And this woman literally walks off and is proud that now she's got this ball that she has taken from a child. Anyway, and then you've got the guy, if you've seen it at the US Open, I think it was the US Open, but one of the tennis tournaments that happened recently, there's this tennis player, he's signing product and things like that, but then also hands this hat to this kid. And the guy next to him literally grabbed the hat out of the kid's hand and puts it in his bag. And we see these things happen. We also see the really good sides of it, but we're not going to talk about the good sides of all that stuff today. I may mention it a little bit, but what I want to do, not in defense of these people, I'm just going to say that because I do not know these people. I do not know the gentleman. I don't even know if I can call him a gentleman because he did a really poor job. I'm going to sue you guys for defamation. The one from the tennis tournament, and he finally gave a half apology. The kid was too slow, and it's like, no, you took it out of his hand. So I'm not even going to try to defend him. I'm not even going to defend this Phillies woman. But what I want to talk about today is the psychology behind what we see happen. So when I say, have you lost your mind? You think about that language. You think about how we say that. We might even say it to ourselves. I feel like I've lost my mind. Have you ever done anything that is so out of character of yourself? Whether you do something and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that to somebody. I can't believe I responded that way. I can't believe I reacted that way. I can't believe I did ... because it's so out of my character. And then you think, have I lost my mind? Or have you ever experienced a person in your circle that's done something that is just so crazy, hopefully out of character and not something that's a repeated pattern, but so just, what are they out of their mind? There's a reason why this is a statement. Have you lost your mind? Are you out of your mind? And I would say that language actually creates a reality. Because people, when they do things that are so not common, not kosher, not connected, where they're harmful, they do harm, they do something so crazy that you're like, they have to be out of their mind. And guess what? They are. They are. And today we're going to spend some time, again, like I said, we're going to talk about the psychology of this and what the heck is going on in your brain. So let's take this woman. She's probably in her mid to late 50s, maybe. I hope I'm not getting that wrong, but she's she took this ball from this dad who gave it to the kid. And again, go watch the video for yourself. You can make your own judgments, but this woman, she has been shredded. Supposedly she's given a half attempt of apologizing because she says she can't even leave her house without being booed now. Anyway, I'm not going to defend her, but I do want to talk about what might be happening in moments where people literally lose their mind and they do things that seem so out of character for a human being that I would say usually is behaving in a way that is congruent to kindness, goodness, acceptance. And again, I don't know if this woman's that way or not. Never met her. I've not heard her apology or anything like that. And so I don't know if I were to watch that and see, did she do a good job apologizing and being empathetic, or is she just trying to defend herself? But that's also part of the thing that we're going to talk about today. So what happens when you are out of your mind? What happens when you do something that is so out of character for yourself, or you see somebody else do something that seems out of character for them, or just as a quote unquote good human being, do something so out of character of kind of like our structured, unspoken rules of how we treat each other, should treat each other kindly and empathetically. So when you are out of your mind, when you have a competitive tilt, when you have something that happens where you feel like unfairness, something happened to you and you feel like it's been unfair, and you are trying to do something and this thing happens and you're like, I was reaching for this, I was grabbing for this, and somebody else took it away from me. So first off, what happens is you start blaming. What's happening neurologically is that is your brainstem responding. And most of the time, people who respond like this, people who make choices and do things that are out of character, then they're responding out of their survival part of their brain. You've heard all the F words, right? Fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn, fix. My husband, when we were teaching a course on the 4 levels of the brain, and he was like, we have a new F word. He's like, my response is to fix things. And so that has been added to our F word repertoire. Repertoire. I got this. I'm a professional communicator. Anyway, but what happens is if you've lived in the survival part of your brain the majority of your life, you are going to do things that sound and act and look like you are literally out of your mind. Because that adrenaline, that cortisol, the rush of this, I've got to fight for this. I want this so bad that I will knock down a child. I will I will get up out of my seat and go scream at somebody and take away what is rightfully yours because I can't see. I am literally blind to what's going on because I am responding out of the downstairs part of my brain, out of the survival part of my brain. And literally this woman was fighting. She was taking it into her own hands. She felt like what happened to her was unfair, and it triggered her brainstem, and adrenaline and cortisol rushed through her body. And it's almost like a cornered dog and it's about to be attacked. It will turn and it will attack you because it's the only way it knows how to defend. And so she, like a shark that's just got to blindly eat and attack something, like a dog stuck in a corner, or a human that has been trapped, is triggered to defend themselves in a way that they have to get their way in order to feel like they've regulated and balanced their nervous system. Now, what happens is if this is this woman's reputation, if this is this woman's way that she reacts the majority of her life, is she's got to fight for what she has to get, that she's got to take away things from a child. She feels entitled to what she should get because it was taken away from her. And she is defending herself and she is doing all of these things out of a survival part of her brain. And the brainstem part is triggered. I would probably guarantee that if this is this woman's personality and that the reality that she was actually able to do that so quickly, and I can I could almost guarantee you she knew she was right. She believed 100% that she was right, he was wrong, and he owed her and she deserved the ball. And if you go watch the video, you will probably have a very different opinion of that. However, that was not her opinion. That was her experience. And the guy's experience was his experience. And that whole thing that took place was pretty tragic. And so again, I am not here to defend this Phillies woman. She was out of her mind, literally. And so what happens is, more than likely, if this is her personality and she has the ability to respond like that in a moment and lose her mind in front of a crowd of people and not have the wherewithal to realize what she's doing in the moment, she is literally out of her mind. And when I say out of her mind, I'm not saying she's crazy. I mean, she might be, not, but her actions looked crazy. And she was in survival. So the fact that she couldn't even recognize that she's in front of a crowd, she's being videoed, there's a child involved, and she cannot let it go, and she has to go fight for herself. I know I've said this a few times, but I could almost guarantee you this woman has trauma growing up. That this woman has experienced either neglect or she grew up in a family that she had to fight to get what she wanted. She grew up being very neglected. And even if she had a complete family, and she might say, no, I had a loving family. And so many times when you start digging deep into the story, into family history and family of origin, so many times there's a lot of neglect, and you end up living from a place of survival, and you've always got to fight for what you want, and you think the world owes you. You think that you deserve things that other people are taking away from you. And that guy and that son were the enemy to her and were taking away her rightful baseball. But in the heated moment, she literally lost her mind because she was responding from the downstairs part of her brain. When I was working at a horse farm in Franklin, Tennessee, I was a show jumping groom. I worked at this lovely farm at River Circle Farms, and we had an amazing barn manager. Her name was Pip, and I would groom horses and get them ready for training for riders, and then also I didn't do shows, but I groomed for the riders for the shows. And one day, it was winter, and Pip came in with some water, and I was grooming a horse, getting it ready for one of the riders. And she splashed some water on me, laughing. And I was about 21 years old. And she splashed some water on me because we would play around in the barn. We just would have fun and joke around. And in that, I was like, oh. And whatever happened in my brain, I took a hot cup of coffee that I had sitting on my grooming box, and I splashed it on her leg, and it burned her leg. It went through her jodhpurs, her riding pants, and it burned her leg. Not like blisters or anything like that, but it burned. And I literally was out of my mind because she was playing with me, and I'm competitive. I got competitive brainstem. I was out of my mind. I lost my mind is how I would say it. And I took that hot cup of coffee and splashed it on her leg, and she got injured. And that is so not my character. It was so out of character, and she was hurt, and I felt horrible. And literally, I carried this for a lot of years, just the feeling horrible about myself and how I hurt her. And I'm like, what was wrong with me? Why did I do that? Why did I throw hot coffee on her? I didn't want to hurt her, but it was this moment of I literally lost my mind and harmed her out of playfulness and competitiveness, out of character of me, because I wanted to get her back. And I wasn't mad that she splashed water on me. It was just this automatic response that I had that ended up harming somebody because I did not think in the moment I was in my brainstem responding. How many times have you done that? How many times have you done something that is so out of character where you harm somebody, you harm yourself, or you scream at a car or lose your mind over politics or something that somebody has said that you disagree with, and you respond and you literally lose your mind. You're out of your mind because of the way that you're responding, the way that you're defending, the way that you are trying to be, the ways that you are doing all of these, the fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn, fix, where you're like, I am right, or I am responding from this place of survival because I can't be wrong here. And so many times, if you do this on a regular basis, or you do this and you've never been consciously aware of it, this conversation may be a bit shocking for you. Because what happens is we cannot think critically when we respond from the downstairs part of our brain. It is not designed to think critically. It's not designed for relationship. It's not designed for connection. It's not designed for creation. It is not designed for your body to operate in the way that it's designed to operate. It is designed to keep you not dead. This part of your brain, which is a brilliant part, it's not a mistake that this part of your brain has been created. But this part of your brain is not designed for relationship, and it's not designed for critical thinking, and it's not designed to stay connected with a person or an event or a situation. It is designed to keep you alive, designed to keep you not dead. And if you have lived from that place your whole life, then you probably feel very entitled. You feel self-righteous. You feel that the world owes you. You blame people because they affect your emotional state. If you say things like, oh, they make me angry, or that person cut me off and now my whole day is ruined, or my boss always makes me mad. If you hear the language, or this person always makes me sad, or and that means somebody else has control over your emotional state. And those are keywords and key experiences that will indicate more than likely you are living from the survival part of your brain. But the coolest thing, you don't have to stay stuck there. We are designed to live from a connected place. What makes us different from all of the animals is that we have the ability to stop. We have the ability to train ourselves to become consciously aware of what's going on in our surroundings, what's going on in my emotional state, what's going on in my mind and my body and my nervous system. We have the wiring for us to be able to not live in that place. And contingent on how extreme and how long you've lived from a place of survival, it might take a little bit more time to really rewire that, but you can. And what you are going to get to do is that you are going to get to move, because that part of you, when you blame and it's like in that entitlement and you feel like everybody owes you, you live in a very dependent mindset, because it's everybody else's fault that there's something wrong with you and that your life sucks or your life is hard. And that means you are dependent on everybody else to tell you how you live emotionally, or how you should live emotionally and how you should react, because you are giving them your power. So the first step is you becoming consciously aware that you do this, for one. Second is moving from that dependence of everybody else making you feel a certain way to going, hold on, I am in charge of my emotional state. I am in charge of my emotions. It doesn't mean that the experience isn't going to have me react and I'm going to be angry, but they don't get to make me angry. I am going to take, here's the key word, the biggest word, I am going to take responsibility for my emotional regulation, my emotional balance, my emotional thoughts. And before I respond, I am going to connect to myself in a way that has me become consciously aware of the situation. And I'm going to pause. And from that place, I am then going to make a decision. And more than likely, when you start making a decision from that place, you are going to experience life completely different. Because it sucks to feel out of control all the time. It sucks to feel out of control even just a little bit. It's like when you're driving on ice, if you've ever driven on ice, and all of a sudden you start sliding and you have no control over your car. So many times, if you're sliding down a hill, you don't have control over that and you are going to crash. You don't have control over it. And so you're going to lose your mind and go yell at a dad and steal a ball from a little boy because you feel like life is unfair and that you deserve that and that is yours and you're going to defend every part of that. That seems like an extreme case, but if somebody followed you around with a camera and had a video and watched you respond to store clerks if you don't get your way or something is wrong and you lose your mind on a store clerk or a car driving by or your server, or you just feel like life is unfair and your family member, you aren't getting your way, and or your spouse or your kids, and you lose your mind over them because you are giving them your power. You are not thinking critically. You are being dependent on their reactions to dictate your emotional state and your reactions. And by that, you are being controlled. And it sucks. So what do? I've said it a few times, but I'm going to say it again, very concise and very clear, because you do not have to live from this place. You don't. If this is a place that you have been living from for a long time, it's going to take a bit. First, it's becoming consciously aware of your language, aware of how people around you affect you and how much you allow them to affect you. And you have to, let me say it another way, you get to pay attention to that. So try it. Practice that first. Start paying attention. Man, I am always blaming my boss for how I feel. I'm always blaming the store clerk because they can never get anything right. If that always happens to you, if everything is always going wrong, it's like you might want to take a second and look at yourself, because you're always blaming somebody else for your dysregulated emotional state. So notice that. Am I always blaming people? Am I always saying they make me feel this way? This person did this and now I feel this way and my whole day is ruined. Or I can't do this because that person is this way. That is you being dependent. And that shift of when you start becoming consciously aware of that language, that experience, and those words, then you can become awake. Wake up and start looking at it and going, oh my gosh, I am dependent. And can I just say something here real quick? Please don't be mad at yourself. Like, I carried that coffee story for a long time. And I wonder if my barn manager even remembers it. And she might. But I carried that story for a few decades. And every once in a while it'd pop into my head and I would literally feel guilty. I'm like, wait a second. I do not need to carry that anymore. I do not need to be addicted to that guilt emotion that affects my body. And so I surrendered it and I forgave myself. And if I could ask for more forgiveness from her, I would do that. But it is that thing of I carried it for so long and I don't need to carry that anymore because that doesn't get to make me feel bad anymore. But is that place of be kind to yourself in this process. Don't beat yourself up. Like you're gonna have these ups and downs and these experiences as, oh, wow, I did that again. I keep saying, oh, that person makes me so mad. It's like, wait, hold on. They can't make me do anything. It doesn't mean, again, that what they did doesn't have an effect on you, but it does not get to control your emotional state. And when you become aware of that, you are automatically becoming a critical thinker and you're moving up into that connected part of your brain that offers a way to think clearly. So the downstairs part of your brain, you are out of your mind and you will attack and you will defend and you will bite somebody's head off or you will completely shut down and disappear. And you will blame yourself and you will blame other people. But when you live fully connected, you will be in your mind and you will have authority and you will become independent where nobody has access to your emotional state anymore. You get to choose that. And from that place, you heal and experience yourself in a completely different way. And I will tell you the people around you will also experience you in a completely different way. So let's go back to this Philly woman and wrap up here. Can you imagine that situation happened and the ball flew and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get this baseball. I've always wanted a baseball. I come to these games all the time and I sit in these stands every single time and I've never gotten a baseball. Then you see the ball fly and it drops in the row in front of you on the ground and you're like, my gosh. And everybody starts running toward that area and a guy picks up that ball and goes back. He's so excited. And instead of swatting at him, you stop and you pause. And you take a deep breath and you're like, dang it, I almost had the ball and I didn't get to get it this time. And you watch this guy take this baseball, go over a section over and hand it to his son and go, I love that kid's getting that baseball. I am so excited for that kid. Maybe I'm going to go up and congratulate him and give him a high five and ask if I can look at it and go, I love that you got this and hand it back to him. And then walk away and go sit in your seat. And you can still be disappointed. You can still be sad as, oh, I didn't get a ball this time. Dang it. And I'm so sad, but I love that kid got it. Can you imagine had that happened? There would be no story on the news where her face is plastered all over the place of her being shredded and embarrassed because she literally responded out of her mind. She was out of her mind. And now she says she can't even go out without being booed. And had she responded in a different way, she could still be disappointed. She could still be sad. And she could have stayed connected and conscious and not let the survival part of her brain drive her into competitiveness and harm, where then she could celebrate somebody else's experience and her heart and her life would be so different right now. I'd love for you to comment. Let me know what you think. Have you ever experienced something like the coffee thing that I talked about, where I was out of my mind when I threw hot coffee at my barn manager when we were playing around and I ended up burning her? and feeling horrible about it because I was out of my mind responding from my brainstem. Have you ever done something like that? Or do you today live in a state of always blaming people and feeling like your life can never go right, everything is always wrong, and bad things happen, and all the store clerks are stupid, and the servers can never get it right, and they're too slow, and you're always blaming other people, and not maybe even always. These things can be really sneaky and really tricky. So become consciously aware. Pay attention to your language. Do you say, they make me, that makes me? Pay attention to that language because that means other people have control of your emotional state. Start moving up into that connected part of your brain. And from there, taking a deep breath. Remember, it's what I call POP, power of pause, P-O-P, where you get to pop and you pause, take that deep breath, move into connection, and from there, make a choice. And be kind to yourself in the process. And notice what changes. Notice what happens. So you no longer have to live, are you out of your mind? You get to live connected to yourself, peaceful and free. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Be a Blaze podcast. If today's episode sparked something in you, don't keep the fire to yourself. Follow, like, download, and share it with a friend who needs the fire. Let's keep blazing trails together. This is Polly Hamp, and I will see you next time.